Hi, we're filming on location today in beautiful downtown Lincoln City, and today is Using Cars as Cover, Part 2. Now in Part 1 we covered mainly what kind of projectiles the car could stop and which parts of the car were better to hide behind. And people brought up a couple of things such as bullets ricocheting under a car and hitting you, and that's a good point. I'd like to demonstrate that, but I can't find any place with a paved road where it's okay to shoot. Another point I want to bring up is, if you have a fairly low car to hide behind, like my 77 Firebird, and you're standing on a sidewalk, the height of the curb and the lowness of the car will almost completely eliminate the chance of any bullets ricocheting under that car and hitting you. Another thing we want to cover today is, although a car can be adequate cover, it's not necessarily the best, especially if you have other choices. And you look at where I am right now on the sidewalk, I do have some other choices, like this really big tree. Another thing is the angle of this bank. If the shooting were about to start, I might very well just jump down here, and this hillside creates a defilade that will be excellent cover. Not only that, I could work my way down that hill and get myself completely out of the situation. And that's a really good idea. The one thing you don't want to do when you have choices is stand here and wonder, let's see, car, tree, hill, and spend a lot of time making up your mind. Let me tell you an anecdote. A while ago I was hunting from a blind, and we're looking out the gun ports in the front of the blind. Well, this blind did not have any windows in the back of it. That's okay, I was assured the deer would never come up behind the blind. Well, these particular deer must not have read the rule book, because they came up behind us. And I look over the blind, and there they are. So I tell Nick, hey. Well, he can't get on his tiptoes and shoot over that, so he just steps out the door of the blind to take the shot. Well, as soon as he steps out the door, two of these deer instantly bolted. The third deer looked up, hey, why are you guys running? Pow! And it was all over. Sometimes you got to make your decision really fast. Now, what we also want to talk about today is some of the tactics of shooting from behind a car. So, let's drive out to the field and fire a few shots. Now that might look cool on Adam 12, but as we've seen in previous demonstrations, this door does not do much to stop bullets. Let me try this again in a way that might work a little better. Now this way I've got the engine compartment between me and what I'm shooting at. But there's a downside to this too. Let me show you. Now I'm in good shape, but whoever's playing Reed over here, he's kind of screwed. And remember, we are filming in the field today, so please put up with all the litter and all kinds of noise in the background. Now, when you're using a car as cover and you're trying to shoot back at an adversary, there's some things I want to point out. As we saw in Part 1, using the trunk as cover is barely better than nothing. Using the doors is better. However, this is probably not something you want to do. And getting behind the engine compartment is the best way to go. And I also have to point out that here in the United States, most cars have the engine in front, but not all of them. Now, some viewers pointed out that in addition to being behind the engine, it's a good idea to stay behind the wheels if you can, and that is a very good idea. They will provide more cover. So if you're in this position and you're shooting at a target that's this direction, there's many techniques to use, and I want to show you two of them. One is coming up into a kneeling position using the hood as a stabilization platform. It has the advantage of really increasing accuracy, but it's got some disadvantages. One being, getting in this position might take some time. Another is that it's not all that maneuverable. A big disadvantage is, if bullets hit this hood and ricochet, they will probably ricochet at a fairly shallow angle, which might ricochet them right into me. So another technique is to get back a few feet, still staying behind the wheel if you can, and shoot from a crouched position. This has the advantage of, it's not perfect, but it will increase the chances that those ricochets will go over your head. It can also be faster to get into and more maneuverable. The big disadvantage is that accuracy can suffer a great deal shooting from such an unstable platform. I've got a target set out here at 10 yards. Let's try both techniques and see how we do. And now let's try our crouch technique. Let's take a look at the target. Now, while using the hood as a rest, I shot the target on the right, and this is actually 2 hits, so accuracy is not bad. From the crouch position, this is 3 hits. Accuracy suffered quite a bit. Now let's try those same 2 techniques with a slide action shotgun. When you're using the hood as a rest, this can cause you some problems because you're trying to use your rest arm as your arm to work the slide. You saw my partner had some problems trying to use the door as a rest. It also brings up the question, if you're using a shotgun with buckshot, why do you need to shoot from a bench rest? The problem you get trying to shoot from the squatting is that you're trying to shoot a heavy recoil shotgun from an unstable position. But let's try both of these and see how they work. And now let's try the squat. So the recoil, not too bad on them. Now I've pasted up the shot holes in the targets and moved them out to 20 yards. And let's try those same 2 techniques with a rifle. Rifles come with their own list of concerns. The biggest one being that on AR platform rifles and many others, the sights are fairly high off the barrel. Right now I'm perfectly sighted in on the target. What's wrong with this one? Remember, the idea is to shoot at your adversary, not shoot the louvers off your hood. But let's try both techniques. And the squat position. Let's take a look at the target. Using the hood as a stabilization platform, I fired 4 shots, and there they are. Not bad. Shooting from the squatting, I fired 3 shots. 2 of them hit the target and 1 was below. Accuracy suffered a little bit. Also, the damage to our target frame occurred because with this field expedient target frame, part of what keeps it stable, or I put a couple of rocks in there. I hit one of them, and that's the damage that resulted. But there's one more very important thing I want to show you about shooting this type of rifle in association with a car. Now, we've talked about shooting over the car. What about shooting under the car? Well, if it's some kind of truck or SUV that has good ground clearance, you get down in a prone, try to stay behind the wheel if you can, and just shoot. But a conventional car like this one, there isn't all that much space. And so with a rifle like this, it's going to end up being canted at 90 degrees one way or the other. I've got my target out there at 20 yards, and I put up new target centers and pasted the shot holes. Let's shoot this rifle at a 90-degree angle and see what that does to our point of impact. Now let's cant it the other direction and shoot left-handed. Now let's take a look at the target. Now this target was fired with the rifle canted 90 degrees to port. The other target with it canted 90 degrees to starboard. And in both cases, for me, it hit low. The difference in group size is because I can shoot right-handed better than I can left-handed. But these are the results that I got with my rifle. The direction and degree of deviation from the point of aim is going to be determined by the shooter, the rifle, the type of sights, and the distance being fired. And the only way you're going to know what results you're going to get is that you have to take your rifle to the range, shoot it canted one way then the other, and see what results you get. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, this is a topic I could have gone on about ad astra, but I just wanted to hit a few of the high points. And I'm using my 1972 Roadrunner today because it's the lowest sitting car that I own, so it really makes a good platform with which to do that 90-degree angle demonstration. But there's two main things I want you to take away from this. First, cars can be good cover, but not necessarily the best. But what you don't want to do is spend very much time at all vacillating over which cover you should get behind. The second thing is, don't shoot your hood off. So as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the Using Cars as Cover Part 2 video.